Thomas Jefferson. He may have actually told them of Oak Island, or whatever secret was that they could have had part of the treasure from Oak Island as a way to finance the war and help establish the new country. Holy smokes, for more than 200 years hundreds of people have embarked on voyages to find the elusive treasure in the money pit on Oak Island. What started as a treasure hunt between friends in 1795 has snowballed into different quests taken on by people. The Lagina brothers are some people dedicated to this centuries-long search. After all of their efforts and resources, have they finally found the treasure? Is the search finally over? Join us as we talk all about the Oak Island treasure that has recently been found and how mind-blowing the discovery is in this episode of The Curse of Oak Island. We continue with the Lag brothers as they follow leads in hopes of taking them to the illusory treasure. For 11 seasons these two men along with their team of experts have worked tirelessly to finally lay their hands on the loot that has evaded so many people. Will this finally be the end of their quest? The episode begins with the team stumbling across an unknown and shiny object. This object was possibly gold, and this meant that they were getting closer and closer to the treasure. The Curse of Oak Island team discovered this lead by draining some swamps in hopes of getting to the treasure. They weren't too sure about the validity of the draining action, but with all the other discoveries they had made, this was just another important cog in the wheel. Every lead and every action taken counted as important because the things found by different people for over 200 years may or may not be linked to the treasure. For starters, there was the discovery of a large stone with different symbols carved on it. Secondly, the bone pieces and skeletons of the people who also wanted a piece of the treasure but didn't make it because they met their untimely end on the island. And lastly, a lead cross. There have also been a couple of other discoveries, but in the grand scheme of things they could be insignificant. However, there are some elements of the Oak Island treasure hunt that are deemed to be fascinating. Some people have claimed that these discoveries can be matched with the Knights Templar. Sometime in the 12th century, a Christian military order known as the Knights Templar was established. It was first established during the Crusades to safeguard Christian visitors going to the Holy Land, especially in Jerusalem. It was approximately in 1129 that the Catholic Church formally acknowledged the order with the help of gifts from European nobles and their own commercial endeavors such as banking and land management. The Templars soon amassed riches and influence. They developed into one of the Crusader power's largest and most effective military units. However, the Templars' power and wealth also inspired jealousy and mistrust. King Philip IV of France, who owed a great deal to the order, started plotting against them. At their beginning of the 14th century, he issued an order in 1307 to have numerous Templars in France arrested on charges of heresy, blasphemy and other offences. Some European nations also adopted similar measures. Many Templars made confessions under torture. While historians disagree on the accuracy of these testimonies of various crimes, in 1312 Pope Clement V dissolved the order at the behest of Philip IV. Some Templars were put to death and many others were arrested. There is a possibility that the Templars hid many of the riches that they garnered on Oak Island. The Lagina brothers and their team would have to figure out who the treasure belonged to the minute they got to it. In their latest adventure, they encountered a strange structure situated at one of their choice locations. It was a large circle of rocks surrounding a swamp. Granted, it might not have looked like much, but for such a quest as this, every discovery counted. It had been a while since the team made any major progress, and this made them very eager and excited. Their first step to understanding this new find was to recruit the help of one of their dear friends and close associates. His name is Dr. Ian Spooner. He is a knowledgeable geologist with a mastery of understanding rocks, especially the rocks that were found in the swamp. After some analysis was made about the swamp the rocks were found in, Dr. Spooner concluded that the swamp wasn't natural. He was certain that the swamp was built by some people a long time ago. Expanding on his opinion, he said, "I was really interested in trying to find something that connects the stone road to something else." He continued, "We know it had to be used for something else, and they were going somewhere and doing something." Understandably, the Lagina brothers and team were even more interested in finding out more secrets or clues that could lead them to the treasure. The information they got from Dr. Spooner would affect how they investigated the area and the different measures they would carry out in their ongoing explorations into the swamp. They were able to discover an interesting part of Oak Island. This part of the island is known as Nolan's Cross. Their analyses made them find some blue clay. This changed everything because a few years ago the team discovered some blue clay when they dug deep into the money pit. Blue clay in the money pit and some more blue clay in the swamp. Surely there had to be some sort of link, and if there was any link, the Lagina brothers and team made up their minds to get to the root of it all. This could finally mean they were really close to the treasure and they could uncover even more secrets of the island. To explore the swamp more, the team decided to drain out the swamp. Draining out the swamp would allow them to explore its clouded and dreary waters. However, there was a catch, and draining out the swamp wasn't going to be a walk in the park. Hardly a week after draining the swamp, the mud, sticks and muck that remained proved to be a fresh set of challenges for the team. This new problem made them believe that the island and nature were doing everything they could to prevent them from reaching the treasure. For about a month the Lagina brothers and team didn't make any headway after draining the swamp. However, after weeks of excavating the drained swamp, they found a huge stone area. Dr. Spooner was invited again to make his analysis, and again he concluded that the stone was made by people from years ago. When they reached the eye of the swamp, they discovered some boulders that looked fascinating. Of course, this made them all wonder if these boulders had a connection to the rocks they found earlier. When the team brought Jerry over to analyze the boulders, he wasn't able to draw a concrete conclusion. However, he noted that he had seen other kinds of boulder pavements before. The ones he had seen looked different from the ones the team found. The boulders they found had a type of soil that was attached to them. Because of this new information, they shifted their focus to the sediments deposited in the area that could have materialized as a result of the wind accumulated over 8 millennia ago. More and more investigations of the area made them discover some filled-in cellars that looked like the stones they stumbled upon earlier. Was there more to the island than meets the eye? The fill-in cellars were truly bizarre because there weren't any explanations that could make the team comprehend them. More, the lack of a compost layer around the cellars amazed them more, because at least they would have been able to tell if any natural disasters had happened there in the past. Dr. Spooner further claimed that some humans put them there deliberately. Maybe it was some people who had been there in the past that had a hidden agenda. Either way, the Lagina brothers and their team made up their minds to know what exactly had happened there in the swamp. It only made sense that they increased their efforts and dug even deeper into the swamp. There had to be more that was going on under the surface. Thousands of miles away in Traverse City, Michigan, Marty Lagina was overseeing other issues. He was on a very important phone call with Mark Monahan. Mark was one of the representatives of a company called Irving Equipment. This phone call was all about the steel cofferdam that was erected around Smith's Cove. This was essential because it aided the investigations the Lagina brothers and team were currently undergoing. Also, there was a little problem. The government permit that was utilized to erect the cofferdam was about to expire in a month. This wasn't a great situation for the team because they were in a race against time to lift the cofferdam so they wouldn't break any laws or go against any environmental rules. Basically, after all the processes they were carrying out, they would need to restore the area. A month was all they had juggling this issue, and trying to find out more about Oak Island wasn't proving to be an easy feat, but they had a job to do regardless, and they all realized that the team had to remove the dam's large metal sheets, and doing so would exacerbate their other problems also. Getting rid of the sheets wasn't an easy task. They needed to act fast, so the team started out right away. They had to use their huge cranes and other heavy equipment to assist them in this venture. The whole cofferdam issue felt like a drawback. It felt like they had taken one step forward and 3 steps back. The searches and investigations at Smith's Cove in the uplands had to be put on pause for the rest of the year. On the bright side, the representatives from the Irving Equipment Company were heavily interested in the job. To them, this wasn't like any of the other regular jobs they had taken up. All the excitement for an interest in the job was about to yield some fruit. This is what happened. Apparently, one of the holes they were tunneling through in the uplands suddenly filled up with water. This excavation was a result of following a lead that led to a possible tunnel. Everyone on the team looked on in awe as the water was springing out of the hole like a geyser. A week prior, they had been conducting some tests in the uplands region, and they found a probable tunnel that supposedly led into the ground. So even if they had to halt their excavation exercises, the whole team was overjoyed because they figured they could find the main tunnel they had been looking for so long. Someone on the team said, "I think we might have hit a collapsed tunnel, some sort of linear feature of wood that got disturbed." In all of this, the team didn't forget the initial problem of removing the dam. It was still important because they also realized they had to do it in a way that didn't cause any harm to the immediate environment. For example, they had to ensure that no dirt or debris was led into the ocean. The heat was on, the environment was at risk. The Lagina brothers and their team had to figure out everything in such a short amount of time. As if that wasn't bad enough, they also had to get access to an old boat that they assumed to be in the area. The equipment that they had also wasn't enough. They had a lot on their plate, and it's only understandable that they felt overwhelmed. Eventually they figured out that all they had to do was take everything slow, one step at a time, one task at a time. Maybe in the process they would find more clues that would lead them to the treasure that had eluded so many people for years. With such an inflexible amount of time, they agreed that the first thing they should do was to shift their focus on finding the peculiar tunnel. They believed it was the cause for the flooding of seawater in the money pit. To start the process, their heavy equipment operator said that he was ready to help the team by digging as deeply as he could into the soil, and if they had luck on their side, this would change everything. This would mean that they'd found the tunnel they had been looking for. Even the viewers at home realized that if they had found this tunnel, they might have been on their way to actually finding the treasure. Both the team and viewers everywhere were on the edge of their seats, bustling with excitement. Closing up this snare trap of a tunnel with its flooding CO would finally be the beginning of the end of their whole quest. Rick Lager said someone was endeavoring to do something substantial. It needs more digging, and until that happens, I don't think we can properly assess what this may mean. Soon after Billy set out to work, the entire team watched as he worked hard to get as deep as he could. His digging led to the discovery of different old wooden structures in the uplands in Smith's Cove. The team made more analysis and concluded that these were clues left behind by some other people who also wanted the treasure for themselves. This encouraged them because they figured that they were on the right track. The tunnel was also believed to be the original site for the money pit. They also encountered a wooden structure that was made of coconut fiber. This was an extra dose of excitement for everyone. Did this mean that they were getting close? Had all their efforts finally led to something? Now they absolutely had to find the main flood tunnel. As they carried on with their work, they discovered a huge wall. This wall stumped them, but they also thought that the wall might be a larger part of the tunnel. They were so keen on finding the digging stopped for a bit because they had to clean the area to get closer to the truth. And then they found another wall. This particular wall wasn't as broken up in pieces as the first, and they began to wonder if it was even a tunnel they were dealing with. With this, they decided to relax a bit and try to figure out if it was a real wall or just the indentation of boards on the clay. All in all, the Lagina brothers and their team forged on. More work on the site led them to discover more clues. Even though they couldn't come across the tunnel in itself, they were resolute because they had one goal in mind: to find the treasure of Oak Island. There might be more pressure on them because of time constraints and permits, but the Lagina brothers and their team have come this far. Some challenges like a dam and board authorities won't deter them. They are going to do all it takes to beat the time and find this mysterious treasure. What is it about Oak Island that has made people so interested in it from years ago until now? Why has it taken so long for the treasure to be found? Let's dig deeper into the history of Oak Island and its tricky treasure. https Wikipedia /wikio or island_mystery. The history of Oak Island and why it remains a mystery. Treasure hunters have been drawn to Oak Island for more than 200 years. It is a small piece of land located in Mahone Bay, Nova Scotia. Its story is a fascinating combination of tales of lost treasure, clever engineering achievements, and a relentless curse. The story of the treasure on Oak Island dates back to 1795. Daniel McGuinness, a teenager, and his pals set off on a straightforward island expedition. On their way, they noticed a strange depression in the earth. It was different from the surrounding natural scenery. The crew came back with shovels and PCKs, intrigued by the chance of hidden pirate treasure. Their town was known for its pirate refuge qualities, so inarguably they cosplayed as some pirates. When they first dug, they found a string of carefully spaced log-lined pits spaced 10 feet apart. They were convinced that there had been an intentional human intervention and that this intricate Construction might be a treasure vault. It didn't look like anything found in natural formations. The discovery gained immediate attention from investors as word of it spread. When the Onslaught Company was established in 1802, it conducted a more thorough excavation. They kept excavating the original hole and came across more log platforms regularly. However, when they plunged deeper, they had a problem. There was water everywhere. Their progress was restrained by the pit filling up with water that appeared out of nowhere. Still, the company resolved to get over this barrier. They came up with a clever solution: a treadmill driven by horses and a system of pumps. They tried to stop the flooding, but it kept happening, so they had to leave the hole at about 90 feet. The long treasure search on the island was centered around this pit, which came to be known as the Money Pit. An infamous stone inscription was reportedly discovered during the Onslaught Company's excavation and added fuel to the mystery fire. Various translations of their inscription suggested that there might be treasure hidden beneath the surface. It said that 10 feet below £2 million lie buried. Nowadays there is an ongoing debate regarding the legitimacy of this inscription. Some believe it to be a subsequent fake. However, it also strengthened the idea that there was a significant treasure. This created a word-of-mouth situation that shrouded the island's history in secrecy. There were also rumors of a curse connected to Oak Island. 7 lives were supposed to be lost before the treasure could be found, according to legend. Even though this dark story was probably inspired by the intrinsic risks associated with deep pit excavation, it added to the island's appeal. The nature of the supposed treasure on Oak Island over the ages has given rise to a bunch of other theories. The pirate connection persisted, with Captain Kidd and Blackbeard often mentioned as potential culprits. The idea of riches hidden by historical figures such as the Knights Templar also started to gain traction. Some of these other theories went beyond the bounds of conventional treasure, suggesting the presence of culturally significant artifacts such as Shakespearean manuscripts or even religious relics. The charm of Oak Island's treasure kept adventurers and investors drawn in. Despite the huge barriers throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, a great deal of companies and people made an effort to reach the bottom of the Money Pit and other appealing areas on the island. Some fascinating finds were made, but the enormous treasure pile remained elusive. For starters, there were 17th century coins that could have pointed to pre-hunt activity on the island. Secondly, some scraps of parchment might have indicated European presence before the generally accepted arrival of European settlers in the 18th century. And finally, pre-Columbian artifacts such as a lead cross have given rise to even more unconventional theories regarding the island's past. The late 20th century saw the start of Oak Island exploration in its current form. Captivated by the island's past, Ozen brothers Rick and Marty Lagina purchased a considerable piece of the land in the 1990s. Their work is featured in the universally loved TV show The Curse of Oak Island. It has revived interest in the ongoing search. The Lagina brothers have investigated several sites on the island, including the Money Pit and other fascinating oddities. They use cutting-edge technology and employ the help of a group of specialists. Now, this probably sounds inspirational, but how did the Lagina brothers embark on this journey? How did they get their start? Let's talk about it. How the Lagina brothers started their passionate adventures. A teenage Rick Lagina came upon an article in Reader's Digest magazine that described the compelling rumor of the money hole on Oak Island. On a fateful day in 1965, he got hooked right away and confided in his younger brother Marty about his newfound fascination. This started a lifelong quest that would ultimately result in them gaining a share of power on the island itself. Retired postal worker R. Clagy personifies the Oak Island expedition's unwavering spirit. From the start of the initiative, its driving force has been his contagious passion and endless curiosity. Rick's unshakable belief in the presence of a massive treasure has inspired and motivated the crew through many obstacles and disappointments. Marty Lena's business sense and financial know-how balance Rick's enthusiasm. Marty is a prosperous vineyard owner from Traverse City, Michigan. He has contributed the essential resources and funding that have kept the expedition going throughout the years. Due to his realistic attitude and clever decision-making, the crew now has access to the newest tools and technology, allowing them to solve the island secrets with previously unheard of accuracy and efficiency. Even though the Lagina brothers are the operation's public faces, Dan and Dave Blankenship's contributions would not have made the Lager brothers' mission possible. They are two men who have devoted their lives to Solving the Oak Island Mystery. A real Oak Island legend Dan Blankenship arrived on the island for the first time in the 1960s and was drawn by the same Reader Digest piece that served as the leaner's inspiration. He dedicated his entire life to the hunt for almost 50 years, drilling the iconic borehole 10X and even diving to the bottom of it. This was an incredible accomplishment given the 235 feet depth of the shaft. Despite Dan passing in 2019 at the age of 95, the team's efforts are still guided by his vast knowledge and unshakable spirit. Dave's son Dan is a permanent resident of Oak Island. Dan has been following in his father's footsteps. Dave's first-hand familiarity with the island's topography has been of great help to the current expedition, even though an industrial accident left him partially paralyzed. Dave's perseverance and strength have inspired everyone in embodying the unwavering attitude that characterizes those in search of the Oak Island treasure. People whose knowledge has been crucial to the search of advancement have joined the court. Am engineer by profession Craig Tester Marty, Lena's business partner, has added a rigorous and scientific approach to the operation. Jack Bigley, his stepson, has earned a reputation for taking on the dirty tasks. He has gone into dangerous regions by hand to sort through the spoils and is passionate in his resolve to find every clue. Marty's son Alex Lagina, a certified diver, has contributed his abilities to the team's underwater explorations and played a vital part. Charles Burrus, an Oak Island historian and tour guide, and Dan Hensey, another treasure hunter, have contributed priceless historical background and insights which have helped solve the mystery that has baffled decades. As the expedition's scope expanded, the team realized they needed specialized knowledge and invited a wide range of experts and researchers to contribute their skills. A local geologist named Terry Matt helped to analyze cuting and cores from the island's numerous boreholes. An important archaeological supervisor Lun joined the team to make sure the excavations followed the right procedures and preservation criteria. Gary Dren, a Florida-based metal detecting specialist, was instrumental in revealing intriguing relics that have strengthened the team's resolve. Because of his abilities and good eye, valuable coins, archaeological artifacts and other fascinating hints about the island's perplexing past have been found. The group has also benefited from the experience of recurrent experts such as local Freemason and diving master Tony Sampson, who has been crucial in helping to explore the island's underwater environment. A chemist from St. Mary's University in Halifax named Dr. Christa Brusso has been instrumental in deciphering the origins and secrets of the materials objects discovered during the digs. The expedition has benefited from the participation of numerous scholars and writers who have given their views and observations. In addition to the core crew and specialists, researcher Zaina Halper of New York sent the group old maps and theories regarding the Knights Templar's possible role in the Oak Island mystery. Author and investigative journalist Randall Sullivan has carefully recorded the island's past and the numerous expeditions that have occurred over the ages, proving a thorough analysis of the epic treasure quest. What do you think about the Oak Island treasure and the brother success? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, share the video and subscribe to the channel for more exciting stories.